Is this something that you think the soup posting folks need to hear? Like, do you think this conversation would be fun for them in any way?
I think that it's funny. I only told one person in the group about it, and
Yeah.
they said, Doug, everybody's not ready to hear your voice.
Welcome to season 1, episode 9 of Digital Dissection, where we take a closer and possibly unnecessary look at our favorite properties. Today, we sit down with the creator of the Seinfeld Soupposting Facebook group, Doug Eberle, and how his group is shaping modern meme culture with content from a TV show that officially ended over 20 years ago.
Before we talk with this week's special guest, we'd like to thank all of you for all of your support across all of our social media platforms. The Dissection crew is growing, and we ask for your continued help to spread the word and make sure that more pop culture fans are finding our unapologetically homemade operation. We are Joe and Mark, two dudes who love discussing pop culture with you, the Dissection crew, and we are tremendously thankful for your support. Based on that, we need you to continue liking, commenting, subscribing, but most importantly, leaving a review wherever you found us today. And here is where you folks can find us. We are currently on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can also join the conversation on Twitter, where we share more news on the podcast and pop culture in general. You can find us by searching for @DigitalDissect1 or Digital Dissection, a nerd podcast. We are now also Alexa enabled and are working on joining more platforms.
So, did you ever think we'd be doing an episode on memes?
Memes, I think we would have hit eventually. I think what really, really surprised me with this week's episode is that we actually interviewed someone. we did more than talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
and that was a big step. For the podcast.
I feel like in our friendship, Joe, over the last 10 years or 10-ish years, we've mastered talking to each other. But
we have that down. But when other people come in,
it'd be a shit show. But I guess answering the why of why we chose to talk to Doug. Obviously you and I have consumed quite a few memes in our social media careers here, and some of the discussion that we have with Doug, we don't want to necessarily spoil it, but some of the memes that Joe and I have seen, I mean, they connect with us on such a personal level that, at least for me, I don't know about you, but Joe, but I just had to go out and find the person who made these things and ask him about his process, because you could just tell this is someone you've never met, but somehow they know exactly what's going on in your brain.
Yeah, it's one of the things, I don't want to spoil too much of things we get into, but we do talk a lot about just how much, or how like people in some of the groups that we follow on Facebook, we have so much in common and more than we realize. And Doug is just able to really, really tap into those things that we all enjoyed growing up when we were in, our youth and in our teenage years. And it's not that we necessarily pine for those things now, but like we look back on them fondly. And when you just get hit with that little dose of nostalgia and it takes you by surprise in your day, it just gets you. And it's always fun to like really see, it's almost like makes you a little more humble, or just realize like a little more small when you realize just how much bigger the things that you liked growing up and still like now, how many other people are fans of it too.
That's the realization that I really came to in talking with Doug, was that it's at one point in time, before we had the internet and before we had all of the platforms we do now, you had to just be lucky to run into fans of some of the things that you liked. Like there was a time where people I knew weren't reading comic books. There was a time where people I knew weren't playing the same video games that I, was interested in. And so you just got kind of to a point where you're like, am I the only person who actually likes this stuff?
Yeah, no, I completely get it. And it's even like, I just remember like thinking like growing up, I always felt like I was definitely in this weird minority of liking the things that I did for as long as I did, because some of my friends went on to enjoying sports or these more sometimes considered, I don't want to say adult, but like almost like adult things. Like they were kind of growing up and like, no, I still like all this nerdy stuff over here. And so like I didn't share a lot of that with a good chunk of my friends like through high school. I mean, they all kind of knew it was there when they came over to my house and they went to my bedroom and realized that, it looks like a 7-year-old lives there still. But like most people outside of my close friend group, like just didn't know because I didn't tell them. I didn't know that there were like other people that liked the things I did, as terribly small and weird as it sounds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you and I had the same experience, totally different sides of the country, right?
Yeah.
And this is like before message boards, this is before any kind of social media. So it's just kind of funny how now these communities exist. And we mentioned that Seinfeld Soupposting is a very popular like meme generator for other social platforms. And so it's possible that some of the content that you hear about today that Doug is creating, you may actually end up seeing it somewhere else, and you may not even know it. So it's just kind of funny how connected this world is by memes at this point. One thing I do want to specifically address though before we get into the interview with Doug, we do specifically talk about shitposting. And for those of you who haven't heard the term before, that's what the Seinfeld Soupposting group is a play on. Okay, so Soupposting, there's jokes about soup within Seinfeld. So shitposting, Soupposting. Yeah, you could probably get where we're going with here. So we're actually going to do a side stitch on shitposting 101. It's going to walk you through the history of shitposting, what it is, and how it relates to this episode. So this will actually launch the Monday before, right? So we release episodes on Mondays and Wednesdays. This will be part of our side stitch series, which is typically a shorter episode, easier to consume and get your week kicked off right. So we will cover shitposting there. So definitely be on the lookout for that. It'll premiere just before this one. But just in case you hear about shitposting and you go, well, why didn't they cover it? We are going to cover it.
We will get there.
Yeah.
just we wanted to really enjoy our guest this week as much as we did. So yeah, without further ado, let's hear from Doug.
Well, hello, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to a special version of Digital Dissection. We're welcoming Doug Eberle of Seinfeld Soupposting on Facebook. Welcome to the show, Doug. How you doing?
Hey, doing well. How are you guys?
I'm doing pretty good. Joe's beard looks manicured as always over there.
Yeah, it's keeping me surprisingly warm in the state of Wisconsin. So
yeah, Doug, we're not going to dox you or anything, but where are you calling in from today?
From Queens, New York.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I am about a quarter mile away from George and Estelle Costanza's actual house.
Oh, that is fantastic.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, that is probably the most appropriate like thing we've ever had on the show as far as like anything. You're actually that close to a property.
Yes.
Yeah, like Joe and I are basically like career long Ghostbusters fans, and there's like a Ghostbusters tour of like New York and everything, where you can go see all these different sites. But I guess is there a Seinfeld appropriate like location type of thing like that?
I know where so many of them are. I've pretty much seen everything, but I don't know of any specific tours.
So there's no reality tour, like no bus tour.
You know what the thing is? Everything's so spread out.
Yeah.
That they actually show, that it would be a nightmare to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you had a bus, and you had like 2 hours on a bus, and every once in a while you saw something, it would be pretty cool. A
I
lot
mean,
of
that
stuff
is
is
a
gone.
garbage bag full of muffin bottoms, and I think you could make something out of it.
Yeah.
You would probably do really well. I think, you know what's funny? I actually think that they have done stuff like this. Like the guy that was the inspiration for Kramer.
Mhm.
You know what I'm talking about? He does some sort of tours. I know that I've seen them around.
Interesting.
I don't
well.
know. I don't really know what they include.
I would hope they'd include more than like a pizza muffin, you know, like how they talk about on the show.
If it was the inspiration for the real Kramer, 100% he is going to say that never happened. Don't even talk about muffin tops, etc. And he's going to show you all this stuff that has nothing to do with the show.
Well, as much as we'd love to talk to, you know, real Kramer, you know, the whole purpose of this show was and we talked a little bit about this before we hit the record button. We got some good content there, but long story short, we wanted to talk to you about, you know, like a history of shitposting, which obviously it's kind of like the Seinfeld Soupposting is a play on that name, right?
Yes.
And to get into a little bit of the history of that. So just to give you a quick heads up on the format of our show, typically what we'll do is we'll have a topic that we're going to cover for the day, but we also do a deep dive into the story behind the story. So we kind of go back and dial back the clock a little bit and find out what some of the earliest instances maybe of a topic, or, you know, production history, like from movies and things like that. So before we get into the history of what shitposting is, I was interested in spending just a little bit of time talking to you about how Soupposting got its, you know, how it got its start. And if you could fill us in a little bit on that.
Okay, so Soupposting, how do I do this intro? Okay, have you ever watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay, did you see the last season?
I have not yet.
Okay, so Larry gets into a fight with the guy at a coffee shop, Mocha Joe, and then he opens up a coffee shop right next door out of spite. It's kind of derivative of Seinfeld, even when he, you know, wants to return the jacket out of spite.
Yep.
So in other words, literally, Soupposting is a spite group.
Oh wow.
Oh.
So it started out in like early 2018. My friend invited me to a Seinfeld group. I had only made a few Seinfeld memes at this point. Actually, my first Seinfeld meme dates all the way back to 2016, as crazy as that is.
Oh
wow.
So I had made some Seinfeld memes. He invites me to this group. I'm in it for a little while. It's super funny. And I start making some memes. The group's really fun. Then all of a sudden, the group just started kind of falling apart, like people trying to be way too edgy and stuff. And I got into some sort of argument with somebody in a comment section. I don't know if I was arguing with an admin or something, but I woke up in the morning and I was blocked from the group. And I was really, really upset. I couldn't see the reacts on my memes. And like, I just see this, you know, you can't find the page. And I'm like, oh, man. So I actually texted a couple of my friends about it who are in the group. And one of them's like, why don't you just start your own group? And I was like, okay. So I just did. And then, you know, the people in the old group, you know, started coming out of our group yelling at us, good luck. You're going to end up in a group of 300 people. Enjoy, you know, you're still banned, you know, kind of screw you, you know? And we just worked really hard on promoting it. You know, it's pretty funny. Like we just made a ton of crossover memes. Like it started out, we found out that, you know, me and the other admins that were kind of there when I started the group, we found out we all liked Twin Peaks a lot. We all liked The Simpsons a lot. So we started making Seinfeld crossovers for the Twin Peaks group and Seinfeld crossovers for the Simpsons group and tagging ourselves. And, you know, before long, we just had more and more people, and then they started creating memes, and it just kind of snowballed. And there it is. I mean, it's only been around 2.5 years since that, and I'm pretty happy with where it is now.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty insane just how quickly this content has grown, and the amount of people that are in there now. One of the things that I thought was really cool about what you mentioned with doing crossover content is that's how a lot of podcasts also end up becoming, more and more relevant over time is they'll actually, feature other podcasts on other podcasts. So you get this, this crossover effect. And so
That's
it's
cool.
yeah, it's really interesting that you guys use that same method to get there because, I remember when I first started like navigating some of these shit posting groups, and there's edgy content just like you mentioned, but
yeah, there is.
But the consistency of the stuff that you're doing in soup posting, and I think you guys have like 44,000 members now. I mean, you've got a nation state of Seinfeld meme creators right now.
Yeah, it's a pretty good
So I can't imagine how it must be to have to go through all of that content, and your mod team has got to be stretched pretty thin. But I mean, what does your inbox typically look like for post approval?
Like maybe 90% of the posts are coming from regulars that have pre-approval, and we know they make good content and they just kind of post. Then you got like kind of one-offs that just post every once in a while. Most of the stuff sitting in the queue is stuff that gets not approved, which is like stuff that's not memes. Like 2 weeks ago, actually it was on April Fool's Day, somebody made some sort of like pretend Seinfeld horror video game thing, like, so you've got like just every 15 minutes somebody trying to share it into the group.
Got it.
So we don't like allow things that you didn't make. So that's most of the time. Half the time it's something somebody made in the group, got shared to a larger page or something, and then everybody sees it, didn't see it in the group, and will share it back into the group. So yeah, the queue is just full of stuff that is just kind of, we don't want.
Yeah.
Loops and fake news.
Yeah, adminning it isn't that crazy. I'm always nice to people. Like when I decline the post, I'll send them a little message and, try to explain to them why it was declined or whatever. And yeah, most of it's just happening. What I do the most actually is just talk to people from the group on like Messenger. Like people will send me memes and, be like, is this funny?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. They're all funny pretty much, like I just like creativity. So if it's something I haven't seen before and you've kind of like twisted Seinfeld around in some new way and related it to something that it's not, I love it. That's all I'm really after. It's just like seeing, it's like art to me, just how creative can you get with it?
Yeah. So that does happen a lot on the page, and something I think everyone appreciates going there. But one thing I've also noticed that this page does really well is they will take like these greater Seinfeld scenes and memes, and they make memes about other people in the group, you especially, which I think helps kind of like push you to this like web celebrity status within the group. Did you have like an initial reaction, or how did it feel when you started seeing yourself like just being incorporated in meme after meme?
So the weird thing about it is when we first made the group, and it was pretty much like 200 people, and pretty much just the admin team was making memes. We would all make memes about each other. Like maybe you had maybe 8 people constantly making memes about each other. And then, that kind of died off a little bit. We were like, all right, there's more people joining in, etc. And then it's been like pretty much 2 years now since then, that people have been literally making memes about me every single day. Like a lot of them are really funny. A lot of times I don't like them because they just put unnecessary pressure on me.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, none of them ever say anything bad about me, which kind of stinks. Like I wish people would try to roast me at least. They literally just say, oh, Doug is great at making memes. And then I'm like, damn it. Now I can't make a bad meme. I really wish that I had the opportunity to make a bad meme and have it be okay.
Yeah. It's true though. You put out so much consistent content that is, it's not just hilarious to like a niche group of people, but you managed to link Seinfeld and sometimes obscurity, and I just remember even today, I mean, you put out a Stone Temple Pilots meme that was hilarious. And I'm not even a big STP guy, but I saw that and I went, oh my God, I know exactly what this is about.
I
Like,
mean,
this
you're
is
big enough to
great.
abbreviate them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
you know what the funny thing is? I try to find something obscure, but that is also something that everybody knows.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's like that's not the most popular Stone Temple Pilots song,
Yeah.
but it's the first track on the album, and it's so memorable.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of knows it. And also it was just in my head, and then I was like, I guess I'll make a Seinfeld meme out of this.
Yeah. That's hilarious because, I did go into a little bit of research. Now, I understand you play the drums. Is that correct?
I do.
So there's that running joke that you never let the drummer write the lyrics, right? Like you see that joke come up. But in your
I've seen
case,
a lot of drummer jokes. Yeah.
yeah, you're the drummer that is the most creative dude I have ever met. Like you've got, I mean, there are jokes on there that, like, my brother and I take a lot of pride in the fact that we're career long geeks or nerds, whatever,
Hell
and
yeah.
we'll see stuff that you post, and I go, holy crap! Like there is a way this dude is tapped into my brain, and I mean, he's been living there now, free real estate for like a year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a lifelong nerd too. I was raised by TV, and I still read comics every week, pick up new ones on Wednesday, and listen to music nonstop, and just love experiencing things like that. So I mean, that's another thing I love about the group too. I mean, it's cool. You can take something. Sometimes somebody will reference something from like the most obscure movie. Like you thought nobody else knew about this. You go and you go to maybe your group of friends and you're like, hey, you guys ever see this? And they all say no. Then you post it in the group, and all of a sudden, like 500 people are commenting saying, oh man, I love this. And
Yeah.
it's cool to have that happen.
Yeah, it seems like they all live in these, and this isn't just unique to Soupposting. I mean, I'm part of like Lord Imhotep's mummy memes. If you've ever seen any of those,
I love that group.
Yeah,
it's weird and so funny.
Oh my God, it is literally like, it's not like the mummy was obscure by any means, but this movie came out over 20 years ago, and we've got a dedicated group of just shit posters that are all over this, making stuff every single day.
It works so well for it.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some groups, they start out and the material just isn't there for memeing. It just kind of doesn't work. But for some reason, the mummy movies really do.
Yeah. Yeah, the mummy movies, I couldn't believe it when I first joined that group. I mean, you still see people who are posting the same like SpongeBob SquarePants, meme like every single day with it, which I don't know how that gets past the moderator team, but either way, like some of the other content has been so funny with those. There was just one recently where someone drew like a potato, like they call it potato tap, because this poor woman, she tried to draw Imhotep, and you could tell that she's got some pretty established artistic talent, but for some reason this drawing just didn't go well, and so Imhotep has like a misshapen head, and like for some reason it is just hilarious. It was the funniest thing I've seen.
And I'm gonna have to take a look back on that.
Well, it didn't just end with that one. Like all of a sudden we've got the entire
then people
cast.
took that one and started creating things out of that.
So,
yes.
Yeah, that's the best.
The entire cast gets the potato meme treatment, and then you've got like a banner made with it, and this brings up a really good point about some of the Soupposting trends, is that all of these groups tend to pick up on something popular, and we might see it for a week or maybe for 10 days or so, and it just kind of naturally disappears, right? Like you make the jokes are really funny, but then when it seems like these things start to die off just a little bit, it's almost like
that's
the
when you'll
community.
see the funniest one.
It's true. It's like gas leaving the corpse. Okay, like it happens, but it's once, like it's just like this natural movement I've seen, and not just this group, but like 15 or 20 other ones, and just naturally you get a whole brand new wave of memes, and it's been going like that for years now. So I was curious to ask you about this, because I didn't know if your moderator team, which I know there's like 20 different folks on the admin / moderator team now, is there any kind of concerted effort amongst them to filter out content like this, or is it just, natural selection happening here?
So we were talking about with bandwagon posting, things like that, when like a trend goes too far.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So we, like, me personally, and most of the other admins would literally just let it happen if people didn't complain about it. What happens is, a bandwagon will go on for about 5 days or so, and then you start seeing like 4 or 5 of the same posts,
Yeah.
and things start getting kind of boring. And once like more than half of the comments are people complaining and putting like a beating a dead horse gif or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's only happened like 4 or 5 times where I literally put a stop to the trend. It was like, you cannot post these anymore. It's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the time when that happens, it'll just kind of stop on its own because people are like, well, I don't want to post something that people don't like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very rarely do we have to step in and like actually do something about it.
Okay. Well, I always wondered about that because once again, this seems to almost be like a standard operating procedure that
Mhm.
that all of these groups that operate like this, they all tend to do the same thing. You see, pretty funny content for a little bit. It obviously
Mhm.
dies off, like the Uncle Leo, memes. Like
Oh God, those are rough.
So they were
yeah.
great for the first few, and then they died.
You don't know how many times I've seen it. So so for the people listening who don't know, Uncle Leo memes are people take the scene of Jerry saying Uncle Leo on the phone, but they will put some variation on it, most commonly just doing something that rhymes, like Uncle Neo, and do
Yeah.
a Matrix reference,
Mhm.
or like Uncle Mio, and it's literally the water flavoring.
Yeah. Yep.
Miss Cleo. So yeah, I've seen about 60 different Miss Cleo memes, and I've seen that bandwagon come and go so many times. Usually when that starts up and people like really go into the Uncle Leo posting, I just kind of dip out for a little bit. Because the thing is, though, there's always new people, so I don't blame them. It's a constantly evolving thing. There's always new people in the group. Like in the past week, we've gotten, I think, like 600 people. That's 600 people who have never seen those before, might think of an idea to make. So it's still just people having fun and being creative. For me, I probably get the worst of it because I've seen pretty much every single Seinfeld meme that's been made in like the past 5 years.
Yeah, and yet you still manage to trailblaze and create new content. I mean, you're kicking out. Some days I've seen as many as like 15 memes that, I mean, they're all hitting the mark. They're all funny.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually try to stop myself. It's becoming. I mean, it's been a problem for a while. I just can't. I pretty much have the whole series memorized.
Yeah.
And anything I come across, I will just try to find the right scene for it and make it. Like I even have on my phone like 100 memes that are in development.
Oh my.
Meaning like I might have cut something out for it. I might have taken a screenshot. I might have emailed myself a note. I might have like a collage made without words on it. I have maybe even more than 100 of those. So sometimes if I can't think of something, I want to put something out, I'll go back to that. I mean, it's crazy.
Man,
yeah, so you get like a lot of work and development there, and we've already kind of like you've brought up like kind of like what can turn a meme to go bad. Like Uncle Leo got stale very fast, but you've got all this stuff in the wing. Like if you had to describe like what makes the anatomy of like a really good meme, of something that you think is going to maybe not guarantee a laugh, but what makes a meme able to actually hit and do so well?
The best thing is to make it surprising. It can be really simple, but if you catch people off guard, they're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do most of the time. That's like my only thing that I try to think about, or that I'll judge a meme. Like, 'cause I make a lot of memes where I'm like, like not all the memes I post are great. Some of them I know that I'm posting, one that's not like insanely funny. But I'm still going to do it anyway, just because I like it and I don't really care. But yeah, the ones that are surprising just always do well. People want to see something, they're going through their news feed, this boring thing, that boring thing, and then something just jumps out at them. And there you go.
Yeah, and that's why literally the term, that's an Eberle, quote unquote, happens, right? I mean,
Mhm.
well, I mean, it's not even to the point where we're trying to like puff this up or anything. I mean, seriously, like you're almost like a webcomic to me, like a daily webcomic. Like I'll log into the Soupposting group, I look through, and I mean, obviously you're one of the best meme creators on this page. I'm not even trying to, just kiss ass here, but there's also like a really strong amount of other good posters too that are in there. I mean,
there are.
Yeah,
there really are. I mean, there are a lot of them. A couple of them, obviously, everybody kind of knows because they get this kind of like name dropping recognition. But there are probably another 50 people that every day just make the craziest memes you've ever seen that should have that amount of recognition. I mean, it's just kind of like, there's a real lot of people,
Yeah. I mean, with 44,000 people in a group, there's going to be some quality in there. And
for sure. Everything's quality, honestly. Yeah.
Well, and that's the point I wanted to make with you is that with that many people in a group and the amount of memes that are coming out every day, there is a level of quality control that is present here that you don't see in groups that are, I mean, half as big. I mean,
oh yeah.
How do you guys manage to control that? Because you talked about, there's certain posts you filter out and everything, but how did that culture form? Like how does that begin?
It's a weird thing. We just kind of created it. Think of it, how you're mentioning meme trends.
Yeah.
Everybody who created this group with me and who posted the first memes that were in this group set the trend moving forward that exists still now, which is we are going to be silly and have a lot of fun. And pretty much if you have an idea and you think it's too crazy, that's good, post it.
Yeah.
And the new people will join and see the type of post. They'll catch the vibe that's going on and they'll start adding to it. And it's just something that's been rolling forward for a long time. I personally don't even filter out any original content unless it breaks rules, like we don't allow political posting and stuff like that. Anything that anybody makes, even if it's like, some people will say it's bad, but I don't think it's bad. I just see something weird and funny,
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, like you mentioned it earlier, there are some memes in there that maybe 10% or maybe even 5% of the Soupposting group will actually get. And I still manage to find those posts and I go like, holy shit, someone knew about my childhood and managed to make a meme out of it here. And and that's what keeps me coming back every day. I mean, someone else who lives in that same kind of vein that you do that I just remember, recently was John Marston in the group. John Marston has really thrown out some pretty high level memes in there. I remember
the last few days had me really laughing with the Amazon driver urine bottle.
I saw the Amazon bottle one. The other one where Jay Peterman is literally standing in the phone booth during like a social unrest in some foreign country. And I think I can't remember exactly what he says. I think he says something that, let's just say that Myanmar is not the party that it used to be. That's what I think the line was.
That's what I mean by surprising. Like that resonated with you because you're just sitting there swiping on your phone and then you see, you're like, what the
Well, there's those, and then there's the ones that are as simple as George standing outside of the Soup Nazis restaurant and he says, hold on, I'm going into 64 mode, and he's got, or a GoldenEye mode. I think it was GoldenEye posting, where
Uh-huh.
and all of a sudden he's all 64, bit looking, and I was just,
Oh yes. Oh,
yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
That's really
yeah. That one like stopped me dead in my
Mhm.
tracks. Like I was actually at a red light, and I, I shouldn't have pulled it up, but I did, and I'm looking at this geeking out, and I'm sending it to my brother, and then I go, oh shit, I need to move my car because I'm literally at a stoplight. So yeah, yeah, that,
all the GoldenEye ones were so funny. I think this is something about the group that we're sort of overlooking here, and it's that like the majority of the group is pretty much of a similar demographic.
mhm,
We all kind of grew up around the same time, experienced a lot of the same media. Like,
mhm.
we would all see a GoldenEye joke and just know it immediately.
Yeah. Well, I jokingly say that the demographic is the millennials who remember the 80s. Because you,
Well, I think that's a pretty dead on.
yeah, because I mean, that's how I've cut things up for a while now. Because it used to be 18 to 35 years old, you're considered a millennial, right? But then it's like, well, no, there are millennials within that range that had no understanding of what happened during the 80s, and there's some that do. So
Well, I mean,
yeah,
I'm going to be 38 soon, and I even consider myself a millennial.
yeah,
So it's like I don't even know what that means. I just know that I don't feel like the generation before me because, I started using computers when I was a little kid,
hmm,
and I don't feel like the generation younger than me because they started using phones when they were little kids. Like, there's just this
yeah,
difference in technology. So,
yeah,
to me, millennial is like that. It's like, you know, not necessarily remembering the 80s, although I do, but really remembering the entire 90s might be something to go on there,
Mhm.
which,
yeah.
when it comes to Seinfeld, I mean, that's literally the entire 90s.
Yeah. Well, I was, I feel like you have a wiretap in my house because I just told my wife yesterday, our son is 3 years old. And when I was 3 years old, I was playing around on an IBM computer with 1 megabyte of hard drive space. And, and so, and
So
so
that was the future.
that was the future. That was absolutely the future. We had pixelated pornography on there, and it was the best we could get. So seriously though, you bring up an excellent point that the technology changes here do impact some of the humor that we have because we've been through that struggle of understanding what limitations were at one point and the
Mhm.
endless things that you can do now. And so I'm happy you mentioned part of your process because that was one of my questions. I really wanted to dig into your brain a little bit and
Mhm.
that backlog. I know we talked about just a minute ago here, but did you just literally go through episodes of Seinfeld and start screenshotting things and just putting them into folders, or how did you do that?
So to create what specifically?
So when
Just
you talked about
any
your
sort of
backlog,
memes?
yeah, your backlog
Oh,
of memes that you haven't
so
created yet.
my backlog is just like half created memes that just exist on my phone, maybe in I have a bunch of different folders. Like there might be some that are just saved as, I mean, they're just in all different states, and they're all
Yeah.
over my phone. And if I want to create something, I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Why did I give up on that? Oh, because this part was like really hard to do, or it was annoying at the time, or I
Hmm.
didn't have the wording exactly right. I think I got it now. Let me do that.
Yeah.
Um, the other process for creating new things, um, I can tie this into we were talking about like remembering the 80s and the 90s.
Hmm.
Um, I only have like five kind of memes that I make.
Yeah.
I have like wordplay memes, or I have like a big one for me is just dipping into nostalgia. You
Yeah.
know, like I had instead of Kramer finding the Merv Griffin set in the dumpster, I had him find the set to Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yes.
Oh yes.
And he's like, Olmec, Jerry, Olmec. you know so I mean, that's literally just Seinfeld. I mean, because the writing in Seinfeld is so great that you can just replace it with other things, and it's essentially the same joke, but just you know created for a different environment. Because like I've even made memes about this before too. Like, um the age group in Soupposting that we were talking about, millennials, like I didn't start watching Seinfeld until I was maybe like 10, 11. I don't remember, maybe season 4 or 5. Like, it wasn't at the beginning.
Mhm.
I remember I saw the Seinfeld characters on a cereal box when I was a little kid and was just like, who the hell are they? Like, that looks so bad.
Mhm.
So like we were, watching Legends of the Hidden Temple at that point, and our parents were watching Seinfeld, and then we kind of came into it and then spent countless hours, watching it in reruns, because
Yeah.
we got into it and it ended so quickly for us. And then,
Yeah. And that's my education, my early education, probably why I'm such a psychopath now, is because my parents let us watch Seinfeld from pretty early on. Like, we didn't catch it season 1, kind of like what you mentioned, but
yeah.
we came in probably like mid season 2, and then we were hooked, and then we followed it all the way to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will say that a lot of my humor comes from that TV show, because
Oh, definitely.
yeah, I mean, it was dry, it was but it was also one of those things where you had to pay attention a little bit, because there's an element that gets introduced early in the episode, it comes back at the end to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, or even in
yeah.
another episode.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
I think Elaine finds Jerry's father's wallet in another episode, or I might be wrong, but yeah, things take their time in the show. It's really cool.
Yeah. Or like they'll have like each season kind of has like a running gag going to it. Whatever in characters maybe come back, like the Street Toughs. I think is that season 7.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
exactly. Or like Mike Moffat, that guy's only in 2 episodes. He's in the one where him and George argue over the parking spot, and that's a pretty early episode.
Yeah.
Then it's like maybe even it's like the 7th or 8th season when all of a sudden he's back, and Jerry closes his thumbs in the trunk.
Yeah.
So much time goes by there. It's really crazy.
And that, I think that's just a testament to not only how dedicated the writers of the show were, but how dedicated you guys are as meme creators to have this knowledge of the show. Because Joe and I we're both lifelong fans of Seinfeld too, right? Like, we grew up with it, but I am humbled every day by just how much you guys know, and not just about Seinfeld, but we're talking about other meaningful properties that you weave into it. I mean, you mentioned the crossover stuff already, but I mean, I see stuff from like Star Trek in here. Obviously, we talked about the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia crossover stuff that's going on now. All of these things are kind of just happening at once, and so I mean, you're getting humor from like not just multi-generational, but multi-property. It's like an all-in-one meme group at this point.
Oh yeah, that's a funny part. Sometimes like there are subgroups. Like there's a lot of them actually. There's The Signing, which is like The Shining and Seinfeld mixed together. Sign Peaks, which became a dedicated group for the Twin Peaks crossovers. You've got Simpfeld Shitposting, which does the Simpsons crossovers. There's Seinfeld Wrestle Posting, Seinfeld Cult Posting, Seinfeld Meme Posting we talked about. I mean, there's many others too. It's funny, every once in a while some people would be like, I'll see in the comments, there should be a group, Seinfeld Music Posting, and I'm just like, well, that's this group. And then like, somebody makes Seinfeld Kink Posting, I'm like, well, that's this group. Like
the music posting stuff is actually funny too, because there's been this recent trend of working into album covers and things like that. Does your music background play into that quite a bit too, or are these just, once again, like ideas you're pulling out of the ether?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. I've made probably like 200 music memes right now. It's funny, actually, one of my most shared ever was a music meme. It was a play on the song. I don't remember the actual name of the song, but What's Going On.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Those are the 3 non-blondes.
3 non-blondes, yeah. And then at the end, I had my wallet's gone instead of What's Going On.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. for me personally, like I have very rarely like made a meme because I saw somebody else do it and I wanted to make a variation, like, oh, somebody made an album cover, let me make an album cover. I just literally take anything I see, anything I'm thinking about. I say, can I turn this into a Seinfeld meme? So that's just for me personally. Album covers are not easy to do. When you see people doing album covers, those are people that know how to Photoshop really well and color match and do, and those are some exceptional works of art sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good topic you bring up too, because I was always interested to hear about like what software you maybe use, like what meme creators are you typically making yours from?
So it's funny, like a lot of the stuff that I use, like I started making memes in 2016, and a lot of the apps that I use are the same apps I used back then. Just because like
oh nice.
I like learned by trial and error how to do certain things. So even sometimes when there's an app that works better, I'm like, like I already know how to use that other one. I'm just gonna do it like this. Like when people find out what I make some of these things on, they're actually like shocked because I really use like I have like 20 different apps that maybe all do a certain thing, but it's really not the best. Some people are using like, a desktop computer with like the latest version of Photoshop, and they're making what I look at and I'm like insanely jealous of, because there's no way I could ever do it with my crappy apps, but they do the job. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go into them specifically, but there are tons of free apps that do everything you could ever possibly think of. All you have to do is like literally ask Google what you want to happen. Like, I want to cut this face out of this picture.
Yeah.
Just type that in and it'll show you 10 apps that do it, or some other function you want to do. Some apps are better. Like, like, I don't know if you know what PixArt is.
Yeah.
That one has like a ton of functions that others don't, but there's like some other free Photoshop apps, and just like simple meme generator, putting words over a picture sometimes is all you need,
Yeah.
Just at least I've had people get started that way. Like that's another thing. A lot of times with our group, like there will be people who have never made a meme in their life, and I'll be like, you can do it. Like they start out, maybe they'll message me an idea. I'm like, like that's your idea, like, but I'll show you how to make it, And I've seen people like, they're like, I don't know how to make a meme. I'm like, all right, well, download this meme generator. You're going to start out putting text on this picture.
Yeah.
They're like, awesome. And then they realize they just downloaded the first app. A week later, they're like splicing together people's heads. Like they're off on their own because they realize like it's not that crazy. Like you got onto Facebook on an app, right? Like you're doing everything else on your phone. Like you can play like this game, you can go on Facebook, you can do all this stuff. That's all it takes to be able to make a meme. It's the same thing. Just moving your finger around.
What did you type into Google earlier today then when you made the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meme where where he says, "How come George ain't home, man?" It's that
I literally just typed in like Fresh Prince, why he don't want me, man. For like literally that's it. And then I found the YouTube video with the highest quality. I watched like the whole 6 minutes of that scene and was like, damn, that's good stuff. And tried to find like the screenshots that I liked the most. Like I wanted like the peak sadness on the face in the top frame, and I wanted like peak hug in the second frame. That was all. Like I don't just throw stuff together.
I was gonna say your execution on this once again is I mean, it's completely on point. I mean, the screenshot of that when they're hugging each other, like you got it where like it's you can see the motion like where they're actually moving to hug each other. So like I mean, we're not even just saying that you splice. Yeah. You're not just making memes. Like you're like, and you said this earlier, you literally are making art in a form here. I mean, like there's a level of appreciation we get just beyond the punchline.
Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of times, like it's crazy. Like a slight detail will make the difference between a dud and a really good meme. Sometimes it's something so small. Like I even saw like a couple of weeks ago, somebody posted a meme. And I wish I could remember what it was. It was like the scene with George eating out of the garbage.
Yeah.
But it was like they used George in the pool. George was like eating something or whatever, but they didn't flip George, so he was like facing the wrong direction when the person came into the room. And all they would have to do is flip him into another direction, and the meme would have been like triple A.
Yeah.
But it was like a B plus.
Yeah.
You know, there's these little tiny details that's what I look at all the time. But I've been doing it for such a long time that it just, I don't know, it just kind of comes to me. People send me memes all the time and they're like, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? Sometimes I have no idea. You know, but every once in a while I'm like, do this. And they're like, oh, duh, you know?
Part of me is shocked that you haven't been approached by someone who wants to monetize this idea. If I mean, maybe you have. I don't know. I mean,
I mean, you know, it's just Seinfeld memes. You know,
yeah.
It seems like somebody did have a good idea in a comment for a shirt yesterday. Have you ever seen the smiling Toofy George memes?
Yeah.
So that I did sort of invent essentially. It was when Face App first came out. I was like, oh man, let me have fun with this on Seinfeld. And then for some reason, when you use the smile function on George Costanza, it just makes this insanely funny face. You can make any other character smile. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You just like even Newman. You think it would be funny? You take Newman, it just looks like Newman smiling. It looks like it's a smile. When you do it to George, he looks completely insane. So I saw that,
looks
like, oh
like,
my god, this is too funny. And I kind of like started rolling with that, kind of like used it as a trademark. Like, I also have an Instagram page, you know, at Seinfeld Soupposting on Instagram, and I'll do like, you know, a lot of the smiling George things in the stories there. I'm kind of known for it there too as well. But the idea they had was to make a shirt, just like a patterned shirt with a bunch of pictures of, you know, Toofy George all over it. And I was just thinking, I'm like, that's so cool. And there's got to be somebody who would make that, and I really hope I can make that.
Those makes you wonder if like this is an actual problem for Jason Alexander. If he tries using the app on himself and he just gets that meme,
and he's
like,
this
is bullshit.
I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh man, that would be funny if he did. I hope he didn't.
Well, the effect, he almost looks like he almost looks like Goofy, like the animated Goofy when he's smiling. Like he's got these, like, it's just an extra bridge of teeth that just like come down. And you're like,
yeah, it's got to be something to do with, like, maybe we've never noticed that Jason Alexander maybe has like high set teeth and you rarely see them. Maybe this is something we've never noticed. And so when you use that smile function and you see the teeth, you're like, oh God, why? It makes you so uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm happy you went into that a little bit, because I've seen plenty of these memes. I've seen all these George, you know, teeth memes like that. And I never once knew the history behind it. So I
nice. Well, you touched on a very small part of meme history there.
Well, that's a big part of this. We Joe and I, once again, we've been huge fans of the group. You know, him and I aren't just talking about this. I mean, people in my family, we see all this new content and we absolutely love it. And so and that's another thing too I wanted to just kind of offer to you, because I think we've had a good time to wrap up here, and I appreciate your time today. But how can folks find you? Yeah, like where else are you guys working out of social media from?
We have the Instagram page, and the Facebook group, and that's everything. You know, Facebook has been getting weirder and weirder with restrictions, and who knows if that'll be around forever. But if it's not, we'll move somewhere else, or just get everybody onto one Discord or something. Anything can happen. We're just on the internet. Sometimes I know some people post on Reddit as well. If you go to like just like the r/Seinfeld on Reddit, and you'll see plenty of Seinfeld memes on there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I seriously, you're literally like, you're trailblazing in this space. I mean, you mentioned it earlier that people are taking your content and putting it all over the internet, and so it's just kind of an incredible story from start to finish here.
Awesome. I appreciate the love very much. Like, I never intended for any of this to happen. It kind of blows me away every single day that many people would want to be interested in Seinfeld memes to begin with, and have an appreciation for them, and want to make them and share them, especially like with their family, and text them to their friends. And the fact that many people are laughing and spreading it and having that much joy in their lives because of it makes me insanely happy. It's really cool.
Thanks everyone for joining this week's conversation with Doug Eberle. If you enjoyed this conversation, why not mention the show to people who may enjoy it as well? You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Twitter by searching for the Digital Dissection Podcast or at Digital Dissect 1. And while you're there, why not like, comment, subscribe, and the all-important leaving of a review. This will help our show last at least one more week.
And we can't thank you enough, Doug, for joining us. But tell you what, guys, for next week, we're setting our phasers to fun. Dear God, that sounds awful. I'm sorry for that. But hey, we're talking about Star Trek, a property that has changed its tone quite a bit throughout its 60 years of existence. We're going to take a deep look at the TV and movie properties throughout the years, and how it's kind of taken the change as some of the social themes have changed throughout time as well. And until next time, keep on dissecting.